We're filming in Atlanta right now. It's going very well. It's going very well, and every day there are shots, there are images, there are pairing of characters you've never seen before on screen that, again, I'm very lucky to do what I do. I'm very thankful to do what I do. And I do it because I geek out for these moments.
Hey everybody, it's Charlie. We got to talk about mutants inside the MCU. Everybody wondering about how they're going to cross the X-Men characters over with all the Marvel MCU characters. Well, the really cool thing is there are actually 3 ways that Marvel has secretly already introduced mutants into the MCU without really coming out and saying it, because they can't use the term mutant legally because of copyright that Fox holds right now, which will obviously go away next year because Disney will get all the rights to that. So they have to find interesting ways of explaining these powers without actually calling them mutants. But that's what they are. That's going to play out during Avengers 4 and continue through Avengers 5 and the next couple of Avengers movies as they start to populate the MCU with all these X-Men characters. There's a new round of that Spider-Man PS4 game giveaway. All you have to do to enter that is be a subscriber and leave a Marvel-related comment on the video. I'll name a new winner at the end of this. The first way that Marvel secretly already introduced the X-Men and mutants into the MCU is through Scarlet Witch. I've talked a little bit about this before, but it's only come to light recently how they did it, even though they did it a while ago. Mercifully, it's not that complicated. So in order for this to work, we have to explain the difference between a mutant and someone who has biologically based powers. So Spider-Man, the Hulk, Captain America, Black Panther, they all have powers that are biological in nature, but they only got those powers later in life. They were born like normal people. The difference with mutants is that they're born with the X gene that gives them that potential, and then something has to unlock the X gene or activate it later in life. What Marvel did to confirm Scarlet Witch mutant in the MCU is that they released a visual dictionary for the first 10 years of Marvel Studios. The book itself is canon, and what they explain is that the Mind Stone merely unlocked latent ability within Scarlet Witch, as in it activated her X gene. But obviously, because of copyright reasons, they can't use the term mutant yet, and they wrote the book last year. So they just had to say unlocking latent ability, and that's their code for MCU mutant. The second way that they secretly introduced all these mutant characters is through the quantum realm, quantum energy, and the multiverse via Janet Van Dyne's convenient explainer.
I thought I was gone. But that energy from your hands, how did you do that?
I'm not the same woman I was 30 years ago, Henry. This place, it changes you. I mean, adaptation is part of it, but some of it is evolution.
So this is a bit of a mystery box situation. They have not fully explained what happened to her down there, only that she is a quote-unquote changed person. Like she's fundamentally altered in a way that, say, like Captain America or Black Panther were not. Recently, Michael Douglas was also saying that he feels like the quantum realm is the future of the MCU in terms of storytelling. So when you say it changes people, and it's this mystery power source that is the next frontier, according to Sonny Birch, who really wants to sell it for billions and billions of dollars to mysterious villains who we haven't heard about in the MCU yet. Just the way they hyped it up during Ant-Man and the Wasp, it seems like it's almost or as powerful as any of the power that you would find within the Infinity Stones. Given the plot twist that it's the key to the multiverse, there are just many ways to explain on a fundamental level how there are different realities where mutants have been a thing for a long time, but maybe not necessarily in our reality. Avengers traveling through the quantum realm, Ant-Man and the Wasp characters messing with things that they probably shouldn't mess with, could all lead to different aspects of realities bleeding into each other, explaining how characters could have been around this whole time without us really noticing them. The third way that Marvel already secretly introduced the idea of mutants into the MCU is through the Eternals franchise, which they haven't started filming yet, so that's kind of something that's coming up. But the whole idea with the Eternals is that the Celestials on the Orders of Eternity were trying to garden the universe, giving rise to experimentations and certain kinds of life. Them creating the Eternals on planet Earth provides a biological basis for the X gene. The way the comics have explained it more recently is that the celestial energy that's left over from what they did with the Eternals seeped into Earth's crust. That leftover celestial energy changed the course of human evolution, giving rise to the X gene in the human genome. So a lot of people wonder, like, where did the X gene come from? Now, within the Marvel universe, that came from celestial experimentation on planet Earth millions of years ago. So there's also other cool storylines involving the Celestials that they'll get into with the Eternals franchise about like what happens when the Celestial host returns to planet Earth to destroy their experiment. You don't need to worry about too much of that now because we'll find out about the Eternals franchise once Kevin Feige starts revealing all of their Phase 4 plans. But for now, it just provides a basis for how X-Men characters can exist in the MCU. People who are born with the X gene and the latent ability that may not have been activated yet. But I know a lot of you just want to know what's going to happen with Professor X, Magneto, Wolverine, Reed Richards, all the other core X-Men and Fantastic Four characters. How is Marvel going to explain them existing in the MCU? Because the way the CEO of Disney has been talking about, he's been saying they're bringing those characters into the MCU. They might leave Deadpool off by himself, but he also did tease, maybe Deadpool will show up with the Avengers in a movie at some point. But in order for everything to make sense, you do have to consider the canon that they've already set up. That's why you're seeing so much of the universe in the MCU, the actual physical universe, being changed by the snapping and what's happening during Avengers 4. So like right now, present day, Scarlet Witch and the Infinity Stones is a template. You introduce one character from that group of Fox Marvel characters. He sort of pioneers the exploration of all the other big ones. Reed Richards and Professor X are probably better places to start than other characters because Professor X can be one of those powerful mutants like Scarlet Witch that had a latent ability that manifested because he was so powerful and he just chose to hide it when he was young. And because of all the stuff that happened during Civil War with Scarlet Witch and how people fear her as a mutant, like people fear X-Men in all the X-Men movies, but somehow everybody on planet Earth loves the Avengers. So you kind of have to explain how society hates mutants but loves superheroes. So you can still do that through what happened to Scarlet Witch during Civil War. There are a couple of X-Men characters that you kind of have to introduce together in order for their group to make sense. Like Professor X and Magneto had to be relatively close to the same age. What you do now is you say Scarlet Witch is the first publicly outed mutant, but Professor X, he's been around this whole time, but his ability has allowed him to hide from view. So that's how the Avengers haven't picked up on him yet. Because of all the stuff they're doing with Dark Phoenix as being sort of a swan song for the Fox Marvel movies, I do think that there's going to be widespread rebooting of a lot of characters. You could try to bring McAvoy and Fassbender in, but I think it would be easier to reboot those characters in the MCU. And then if you really want to do it way down the road, like many, many years in the future, you could do a Secret War style movie where many universes collide with each other. So you do get to see many different versions of the characters. And that can be their way of having the same type of fun that they had with X-Men Days of Future Past, where you have different versions of the characters interacting with each other. But I think the beauty in all this, just to remember, is they've already introduced mutants in the MCU. They just haven't called them that yet. I think the real question is who will be playing those characters. So let me know in the comments, do you want to meet Reed Richards first or do you want to meet Professor X first? Because you could use either one of those characters to introduce all of the others. There's a bunch of stuff coming up, so I'll post video updates in that top pinned comment on the video here. Congratulations, Mimata2 Corbata, you're the giveaway winner from my last big Marvel video. Please email me on the About page of my channel so I can get your contact details. Click here to learn why Netflix canceled Iron Fist and Luke Cage, and click here to learn about the big Marvel Phase 4 movie changes that they just announced. Thank you so much for watching. Everybody stay awesome. I'll see you guys tonight.